Welcome back to the Mastery Podcast. It's Adam Carroll.
And Nick Durr.
What's up? Thanks for joining us, everybody. We hope you enjoyed yesterday's discussion about earning and time versus value when you're out earning money. Today, as we teased on the show yesterday, we're going to talk about asking for a raise.
Asking for a raise. Yeah, the first thing that comes up for me, and I think many people, explorers who are listening also, is just the fear around it. Right?
Yeah.
When you say ask for a raise, it's like, oh gosh, I don't know how to, and I don't know, like what steps there are to take.
Right.
So, in your experience, Adam, what have you found to really be effective, or just around the entire conversation of asking for a raise? What have you found to be helpful that you could share?
Well, one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got around getting a raise or asking for a raise was from my dad, who once told me that there are two great times to ask for a raise.
Okay.
Do you know when they are?
No, I do not.
So it's right when you start.
Okay.
Asking for more money, and it's right before you leave.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you're on your way out, then you can ask for more money. But there are other times, and that's what we're going to talk about today. If you are just getting started or just about to leave, bonus for you. But if you're in the middle of that, then let's talk about how to do this. First and foremost, I think that most people fear asking for a raise because they don't have a formal plan in place of how to do it.
Gotcha.
It's not a normal everyday occurrence, and most people aren't really gifted or seasoned at going and asking for raises. So it becomes this like very uncomfortable dance that you have to do with your boss.
Yeah, two left feet.
Right, exactly. So the first thing that we're going to talk about doing is you need to set the stage for a raise or for a review. And the way that you're going to set the stage with your employer is basically by going to them and stating, hey, would it be possible for us to have a wage review? Or not as a question, but as a statement, I'd like to do a wage review in the next 2 months, right? Or 6 months or whatever it is, or next week or Friday. But when you set the stage for a raise or a wage review, what you are basically doing is letting your employer know that you would like to talk about making more money here in the job. So the important part about setting that stage and having the wage review chat is that you do your homework in advance of the wage review or the request for a raise. And ultimately what we're going to try and do in the preparation phase is tie back to the value that you're providing to the company.
Yep.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So, in the very first, or in the experience that I had at The Honest Company, one of the things that, or in terms of time, tying the value provided, it really, if we look at the last episode, which is making sure that our time is being more valuable, that really allows me or you to step into that conversation saying, hey, these are all the things that I have done.
Right.
This is how much money I have generated for the company. This is how much money I've saved. And like you said, it really is it takes a lot of preparation and planning. And I think for an employer, it shows them that you have a lot of initiative and are being proactive about things.
Indeed.
Because one, it says that, hey, I'm looking to actually grow here. And I'm interested in earning more money and how I can provide value.
No doubt.
And then two, it also gets rid of that awkward conversation of like, hey, by the way, I want to talk about a raise. They already know that you're coming to the stage and with an intention of, hey, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to show you that I earned it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So there's a couple things that are really critical in doing that kind of legwork, if you will, and that is documenting the work that you're doing and why you're deserving of a raise. So if you're putting in more hours than your peers, if you are responsible for closing a bigger deal or working harder for a particular client that you retained, obviously those are some of the metrics that you're going to use. It could be you've created efficiencies that have saved time or saved money for the company. Make sure you're documenting and you're showing stats and evidence about every single one of those when you go in for that raise. And the reason we're doing this is very simple. Going in and just asking for more money without showing why you're deserving of more money will feel like an entitlement play. I'm just entitled for more money, so give me more money. It's not like that. The conversation should be about, I'm offering all this tremendous value to the company. I've saved time, I've saved money. So as a show of good faith, I would like to have a wage review from this rate to this rate. In the process of doing your research, make sure that you go out and you're searching things like Indeed.com, Glassdoor.com, Payscale.com, and you're figuring out what does a position like this in your community, what's the median income or the average scale, if you will, on a bell curve. And if you believe that you should be towards the top of that bell curve, be able to illustrate why you are on top of that bell curve.
Yeah.
So you had an interesting thought earlier about, when asking for the raise, if you don't really love the job you're in.
Yeah. I think asking for a raise, obviously, in addition to being able to generate more income, I think another benefit of asking for a raise is that if you're interested in really not only increasing your income but kind of moving the needle around what it is you're really passionate about. Like, for example, for me, I was at a job where I really enjoyed who I was working with. I felt like I was learning a lot, but I also felt that there was more that I could provide to the company. And the amount that I was earning, $14.50, wasn't necessarily cutting it for me. And so in asking for a raise, I was able to really get clear on where the company was viewing me and how I was occurring for the company. What I mean by that is, to Adam's point, when I asked for a raise, I had all the documents and I had all the stats and I had all the measurements, kind of showing evidence as to why I deserved this raise or why I was even asking in the first place. And long story short, they said that they weren't going to give me the raise and they weren't going to give me the promotion. And at that point I knew, okay, great. Like, I can now, with good conscience and knowing that I turned every leaf and, looked behind every corner, know that I can pursue something else because I did my due diligence. I had asked for the raise. And quite honestly, if they had given me the raise or given me the training position that I was looking for, I would have stayed longer. So I at least knew one way or the other by asking for a raise what my next steps were going to be.
Interesting. And did you ask it at the right time of the week?
You know what? I didn't even consider that. It was just kind of like, for me, it was very emotional. And when I mean emotional, it was just like, I think I had just done a big sale and I was just like, I think I deserve a raise. And so I was just like, I went straight up, hey, I want to talk about this.
Yes.
So I'd definitely be curious to know if you have suggestions around timing.
Well, the reason I ask is I think in every company there's probably an ideal time of the day or the week that you would ask for one.
Yeah.
Obviously, most people are much more open and sort of social on Friday afternoons. So I've heard some theories that Friday afternoons are a great time to ask for a raise. I think if you were going to set the stage with a senior level person, it's probably more like early in the morning before the workday starts. Ask them to coffee or ask them to breakfast and have that discussion. It's a very personal decision to make when you ask for the raise. So what I would do is I would just get a feel for what the energy in your office is. And if it feels like it's very chaotic, not a good time. But if it feels like everyone's laid back, a certain time during the week, that might be a great time to approach your boss and ask for a little bit more money.
Totally.
The last step, and this is a big one, is you want to make sure that you're practicing before you go have the discussion. And what you'll find on the blog post that corresponds to this podcast, which you can find at masteryofmoney.com, it's under episode 13 of the Mastery Podcast. But we actually have a script of how to have this conversation with your boss. And it's the basis of a difficult conversation framework, but it goes step by step on how to have this. And our suggestion would be to go through and map out the conversation before you have it, and then go practice it with someone who is pretending to be your boss in their very same personality and all that. So describe the person you work with, explain the situation, and then practice before you go in and actually ask for the raise.
Yeah, super powerful. If I had this document before, asking for the raise, I think the circumstances may have been different.
I agree. So here's our challenge for you on the show today. If it is time, meaning you have maybe not been there, you've been there longer than 6 months and maybe a year or 10 years or however long it has been since you've been at your job. If you feel like it's been long enough that you are deserving of an increase in pay, I want you to go ahead and ask for one after you practice a number of times using the script that you find at masteryofmoney.com under episode 13 of the Mastery Podcast. What you may be able to look forward to is a rate increase of, how much would you say?
10 to 20%.
Could be 10 to 20% of your salary. If you're an entrepreneur and you're ready to increase your rates, consider increasing your rates by 10 to 20%. These are, easily ballpark figures to go out and attempt to get. But by asking, you'll know where you stand, and you may just end up having mo money.
More money, less problems.
That's right. So, hope you like this, the session and the topic today. Tomorrow, we are talking about
Side hustle.
the side hustle.
Side hustles.
And we've got some stories for you. We've got some suggestions and some ways that you too can make some extra doing side hustles of your own. Join us tomorrow on the Mastery Podcast. Like, follow, subscribe, comment down below.
See you, explorers.
Peace.